Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Please ensure to like, share, and subscribe. And also click the bell notification in the top right-hand corner to be made aware anytime I upload tutorials or videos to YouTube. All right, let's craft together. Hey guys, I get a lot of questions about the Pen Gear Notepad where you're not able to print the 8 by 10.5 in Cricut Design Space or from Cricut Design Space. And so basically what happens, guys, when you go in to upload an image, I'm just going to upload an image to show you here. So if I go in to upload an image, and I'm going to take one from my latest and greatest. I'm not sure why my other thing is not showing up. There it is. Okay. So when I go and bring in an image, and let's just say, all right, so let's just say I'm going to go in and I'm going to do one of these images. Let's see which one I want to bring in. Okay, I like this one. All right, so I bring the image in and I'm going to go ahead and select complex and continue, and apply and continue in the bottom right corner, and then print, then cut and upload. All right. Once we add the image to our canvas, guys, so I'm going to resize this to 8 by 10.5. So we're going to do a width of 8 and 10.5. Oh, Jesus. I don't know what's gotten into me. All right, 8 and 10.5. That might help. All right, so let's say this is our image that we're working with. All right, but it's not the image that we're really going to be working with, but I'm just using this for example. So if I did not have my, when I click on make it, if I did not have my Cricut settings at 11 by 17, Cricut would not allow me to print this image. Okay, I would get an error message. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So in more cases than not, you probably have for your print then cut, let's see here. Doo, 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 doo. All right, what do I have? Let me see if I can bring this over a little bit. All right, so in your settings, you probably have the canvas. Let's see, which one is it? Here we go. The load type. You probably have that set at your largest print size, and let's say it's an 8.5 by 14. So if I set this at 8.5 by 14 and click done, notice I get a print error message. All right. I get a print error message because my largest print size is 8.5 by 14, Cricut is not going to let me do this image at 8.10.5. All right. What it would do is it's going to recommend, uh-oh. It's going to recommend what size, what's the largest I could print if my largest print size is 8.5 by 14. All right. So it says if your image is too large for 8.5 by 14 in legal paper. We've detected that the max size for this shape is 7.43 by 976. So basically what it's saying is you cannot print this image from Cricut Design Space. All right. So the only reason I can print and others can print larger is because they have wide format printers that will allow them to print 11 by 17 or larger. Okay. So I have to always make sure that I have this setting for my load type. I make sure that that is set at 11 by 17. Okay. Now when I click on done, now I can print this image with no problem. So what I'm going to do today is to show you how you can get around this and still do this 8 by 10.5 pen and gear notepad. All right. Now I'm using the 8 by 10.5 pen and gear notepad that has 33 holes. Okay. So you want to make sure if you're following me, you want to make sure you have the right pen and gear notepad because some have 42 holes, but I'm using the one that has actually 36 holes. But it has 33 small ones and then 3 middle size holes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this image because we're not going to be printing anything from Cricut Design Space. All right. That being said, we're going to go over to PowerPoint because PowerPoint is where we're going to be able to um, PowerPoint is where we're going to be able to print this image or either Microsoft Word. You can even use Microsoft Word, whatever software you have that will allow you to print a 8 by 10.5, then that's where you want to be. I'm going to be using Microsoft PowerPoint and I'm going to be sublimating my image onto glitter cardstock. Okay, so I'm not going to be using inkjet printing, but you can follow me and still do inkjet printing and I'll tell you, the differences there. Okay. So I'm in Microsoft PowerPoint. I'm actually going to close this out and don't save. All right, and then I'm going to reopen another Microsoft PowerPoint just so that you and I can start together from scratch when you first open up Microsoft PowerPoint. All right, so when you open up Microsoft PowerPoint, the first thing you want to do is you want to get rid of this click to add title and subtitle. So you're just going to right click on the slide here on the left and you're going to layout and blank. All right. Once you get a blank slide, you're then going to go to your menu and select design. Come over to the far right side and select slide size, custom slide size. And you're going to change this to 8.5 by 11, which is your letter size. And you're going to leave it on portrait and hit OK and then ensure fit. So now you have 8.5 by 11, which is the size of your glitter cardstock or your cardstock, whatever type of print material you're going to be using to replace your pen and gear cover. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is insert a picture. So I'm going to be working with this picture right here. All right. So now I have my picture and we have our pretend glitter cardstock behind here. Okay. So what I need to do is size this down to 8 by 10.5 because that's the size of my image. And that's not the size of my image. That's the size of my pen and gear notepad. Okay. So I'm going to right click and select size and position. I'm going to get this format picture area. I'm going to deselect lock aspect ratio and relative to original picture size. We're going to deselect those. And then for the height, we're going to type in 10.5. And for the width, we're going to type in 8. Okay. And so now your image should be like that. And then you have your cardstock or whatever that would be behind it, right? Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to make sure that this image is centered. So I'm just going to touch it and you can see I have some little dashes going across that looks like a cross, right? That lets me know that my image is centered with my cardstock that's behind it. So I'm good there. Next, I'm going to rotate my image, but if you're not doing sublimation, don't do this part, okay? So I'm going to click on my image, go to picture format, and I'm going to select rotate and flip horizontal. and that's because I'm doing sublimation. All right, if you're not doing sublimation, you're going to leave your image as it was. All right. Now, once you get your image position, you got your glitter cardstock that represents that square behind your image, you are ready to print. Okay, so this is where we're going to go and we're going to say File, Print, and we're going to click on this drop down and select Current Slide. We only want the current slide that we're working on. And then I'm going to select my printer, which I'm using Epson 7720. And then my printer properties, I'm using the main tray. I'm going to leave it on plain paper. I'm going to go to advanced, and I want to make sure that my borderless printing is on. Please, please, please make sure your borderless printing is on. If you do not, your image is going to be cut too small because Microsoft PowerPoint is going to try to give you that border. And so by giving you additional border, it's going to shrink your image down. So make sure that borderless printing is on. And then I use a high quality output. I have it on letter size paper and everything else here is good. Okay. So the main thing is just making sure borderless printing is on. Going to click OK. And then at this point, all I need to do is just click on OK and print. Now I'm going to go ahead and load my paper into my Epson Workforce 7720 because I don't think I have any paper in there. And I'm using a sub 8.5 by 11 paper. All right. So I have my image being printed out. And if this is the part, guys, where if you're not doing sublimation, you just go ahead and insert your 8.5 by 11 cardstock into your inkjet printer and go ahead and print out your image. Okay. But I'm doing sublimation, so I'm printing my image on sub paper, sublimation paper, and then I'm going to heat press it onto the glitter cardstock. I'm going to heat press this at 375 for 60 seconds, a total of 1 minute. All right. So while we're waiting for that to finish printing out, all right, we got our image printed out. I'm going to go over to Cricut Design Space. And in Cricut Design Space, guys, we are going to upload our template. And our template is the Pen Gear. I'm using the 33 hole, which is really 36 with the 3 holes there. I'm going to click Add to Canvas. All right. And I'm going to shrink this down just to make sure this is my 33 hole because I have a 42 hole as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay. So this is the right template. So it comes in at 8 by 10.5, which is what we want. But if yours doesn't, if the template you have doesn't come in at 8 by 10.5, then just unlock the proportions and then just manually type in 8 by 10.5. Mine is already 8 by 10.5, so I don't have to change anything. The next thing I'm going to do is just go over to shapes, and I'm going to bring in a square. And I'm going to change the proportions on this square to 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to type in 8.5 by 11. All right. Then we're going to lock that back. Now this is going to represent, just like in Microsoft PowerPoint, we had the 8.5 by 11 for the slide size. That represented our cardstock. This is going to represent my cardstock. Okay. This is going to represent my template for that my image is on. So if you've already printed out your image, it should look something like this. Bring to front. It should look something like this, guys. Your image should be printed in the middle, and you shouldn't worry about the holes or anything because it should just be a plain image with no holes. Okay. And then you should have the white or whatever color cardstock you printed to. It should just have a border behind it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure that these two are aligned centered. So we're just going to click on center. I think I hit it, but I'm not sure. There we go. So we want to make sure we click on center. Once we center the two of these guys, we're going to then take them and group them together so that it's just one cohesive document now. And then we're going to go to the bottom right and click on attach. All right. So this is, if you've already printed your image out, you should have your image in the middle and then a white border or whatever color cardstock around the very edge. Okay. Now we're going to click on Make It. And you're going to change your material size to a 12 by 12. And so you have the glitter cardstock in the back, and then you have your image here. You're going to bring your image over, guys, or your 8.5 by 11, you're going to bring it over about 1/2 inch from the left starting point and from the top starting point. About 1/2 inch is where you want to start it. You do not want that cardstock sitting in that very top lined up with the lines here. Okay, you're going to come down about 1/2 inch from the top and 1/2 inch from the left. That's where you're going to start your glitter cardstock or your cardstock on your 12 by 12 mat. All right. We're going to go ahead and click continue in the bottom right corner. And I'm going to select glitter cardstock. Now you select whatever type of material you're going to be printing on. I'm using cardstock. So now I'm going to go to the heat press. I'm going to press this on and then we'll have Cricut to cut it out. All right, guys, here is my image. And it has a very dull look to it because it's sublimation. It won't come vibrant until we apply this heat. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over and I'm going to put it on the glitter side of my cardstock. And I'm going to get some tape here. And this is heat tape that I'm using. Just going to use some heat tape to hold it in place. Alright, I have a Teflon sheet on the bottom and I'm going to put a Teflon sheet on the top. Let's see where the top of my image is. Okay, so we're going to put it on there just like that. And again, I'm pressing at about 375 Fahrenheit for 60 seconds. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put that baby down. And when I get about 5 seconds out, I'll come back. All right, guys, we are about 5 seconds out. All right, hot, 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 hot. Now you should know that you have a good sub when you start to see the ink bleed through. So you can kind of see the image through there. So we're going to go ahead and cut the heat press off. And I'm going to remove this tape that I have put on here to hold this in place. Try not to poke my finger. Look at that, guys. So pretty on that glitter cardstock. All right, once you get that off, guys, we are now going to place this onto our green mat. And again, you're going to come over about 1/2 inch from the top and 1/2 inch from the left side. That's where we're going to start our cardstock. All right. Once we get that on, we're now going to take this over to Cricut and have Cricut to cut it out for us. So I'm going to pause you and we're going to move over to my Cricut. All right, guys, so I now have my image onto my mat. Cricut, we've already told it to print this or to cut this out on cardstock. We're going to go ahead and load that. Come now. I know I've already selected glitter cardstock. There we go. I don't know why it took so long. All right, so Cricut is now going to cut that template out for us, guys. We're still on 8.5 by 11, but Cricut is now going to cut it down to an 8 by 10.5 with 33 holes, 33 small holes, and then the 3 large holes. But again, we didn't have to have Cricut to print anything for us or send anything to the printer. Everything was done in Microsoft PowerPoint, but you can also use Microsoft Word or any other printing software that will allow you to print an 8 by 10.5. So we're going to let that run, and then I'll be back when it's done. All right, we're done. Now we have our template cut out, and with the 33 holes, the 3 big holes, and it looks beautiful. So let's go over now and finish up by putting this onto our Pen Gear Notepad. So most of you that have been following me, you already know how to take the pad apart. And what I'm going to show you next is I've already disassembled mine. So that's the cover. I've already removed this piece. And the way you do that is you're going to have, it'll be easier if I show you this way. You're going to have this piece of wire and the top piece of wire. They're both going to be connected to the second wire. And you're just going to use some needle nose pliers. I'm sorry, wire cutters. You're going to use some wire cutters to clip the part where it has that little bend in it. That's the part you want to get rid of. You want to get rid of that little bend because you want this to be able to just swirl in and out, swirl in and out. And once you get it clipped off, then you'll just start twirling it. I'm going to show you in a minute when I get ready to put this back in. You'll start twirling it and it'll just twirl right out. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off the green 33 hole punch. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to replace it with this. And you want to make sure it lines up nice and neat. Y'all see that? How it lines up perfectly. If it does not line up, guys, it's not going to go back in easy. You're going to have a hard time. All right, so just how you see me putting this back in is how you'll take it out, guys, after you clip off that little piece, okay? So I'm going to go and I'm going to get this started, okay? So I just put it back right back in that hole, and I just start twisting it or twirling it, however you want to say it. All right, and you see how easy it's going in or going back on. So the same way that I'm putting it back on is the same way you're going to take it off. The only difference, guys, is you're going to cut that little bend in the top and the bottom wire just to get it started. All right, once you snip that off, then you're just going to roll it back in just like I'm doing right now. You guys can see how I'm getting it right back in with no problem. I got one little part right here that just wants to keep, hanging on. But you're just going to roll it right back in. And this is the same way I took it out. Okay. Just keep rolling. If you miss one, you got to go back. And I just missed this side right here. Hard for me to see and talk at the same time. All right. See how easy that goes back in, guys? It comes out the same. It comes out easy as well. And I wasn't going to show this part, but then I thought, well, let me just do the whole thing. But I had already taken this out and I wasn't going to put it back in. So most people that are asking me about this, they've already attempted this process. So they already know how to take it out. But I just wanted to come on and kind of finish up with showing you guys how to do this without having to depend on Cricut Design Space. Because I keep getting that question, how can I do this if I can't print larger than 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 14? And you don't have the funds right now to buy a wide format printer, this is how you can do it. Okay. All right, we are done. All we have to do now, guys, once we get this back on, see how easy we did that? You're just going to take your needle nose pliers and you're going to use those needle nose pliers to connect the two wires, the first two wires at the top and the bottom. You just want to get kind of like the bend that you took out. You want to kind of get a bend back in there, and that will keep your paper or your notepad from coming apart. Okay, so let me get this last little piece in here and make sure my top is good, and it is. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reconnect this, guys. That's it. I'm just going to reconnect it. I'm just going to take my needle nose pliers and I'm just going to bend this to connect it to that first wire, that second wire. And just take your time to get it connected. You just want to make sure that it can't be whirled to come apart again. Okay. Once you get it connected, you're done. You can kiss this baby goodbye. Tell it goodbye. All right. So I'm just going to bend. Ouch. I got my finger. Don't hit your finger, guys. I'm just going to connect that wire, that first wire to that second wire. There we go. There you have it. Got it upside down. There you have it, guys. It is done. You no longer have a green cover. You now have a nice, pretty notepad. You can put words on it. You can add text. You can put whatever you want on here, guys. It is absolutely beautiful. I like to use the glitter cardstock, guys, because the glitter cardstock kind of gives it kind of like a little bit of a shine. If you guys can see that. Another one that I did, this one, but I did this on regular cardstock. So it doesn't have that shine and sheen to it, but it still looks nice. Um, I will admit that I did spray this since I use regular cardstock. I did spray it with that clear acrylic sealer to give it a little bit of a shine. So you can tell that it has a little bit of a gloss to it, but that's not because I'm using glossy paper. I actually sprayed it with clear acrylic sealer. Okay. But here's the difference. You be the judge on whether you prefer the glitter cardstock or just regular cardstock. I like both, um, but this one is sublimation, okay? And this one is just on plain cardstock. And then I sprayed it with clear acrylic. I can never say that word. Clear acrylic sealer. All right. So that's it, guys. That's how you do it. And you can see I can open it up. And I don't have to worry about it falling apart. Okay. This is the Pen Gear 33 hole. Okay. They also have a Pen Gear with 42 holes. So be careful. Because one time I did this project, guys, and I don't know how I grabbed that 42 hole template, but I did. And I got to this point and I couldn't get it apart and back together. And I kept playing with it. And I'm like, let me count the holes. And I counted the holes, and my image had 42 holes. And then my Pen and Gear was 33 holes. So just make sure that they match up, guys. This is the 33 hole with the 3 larger size. And you can see how oops, how it lines up beautifully. There's no white paper sticking out or anything. It lines up just like it should. Okay. So again, all I did was clip those first 2 wires, use my wire clippers to clip that first little wire where it has a little bend in there. You want to clip that bend, and when you clip that bend from the top and the bottom, or the top and the bottom, and then you just roll it out, just like you saw me just now roll it back in. That's how you do it. All right. So that is it, guys. She's a broody. She's a broody. All right. I get a lot of people say, where'd you get that image from? I created this image in Midjourney. So that's where most of my images come from, are Midjourney. I do uh, encourage you, if you're interested in images, to check out my Etsy shop. I have plenty of images out there, and I'll probably be putting this one up on Etsy as well. That's it. That's how you can accomplish creating the replacement for the Pen Gear Notepad, the college ruled, by using whatever software that you can print to that will allow you to print your 8 by 10.5. Okay. So if you cannot print larger than an 8, if you can't print up to 11 by 17 on your printer, then that means Cricut is not going to let you do this project in Cricut. Okay. But you can still trick Cricut like I just did. You can trick Cricut and have Cricut to still cut that template for you by putting that square behind it. Okay. And then guys, you'll be able to get rid of this because which one do you rather have? I know you would love to have something more like this than like this. At least I would anyway. So that's why I do these. All right. So I'm going to tell you guys really quickly. Next up is going to be Pen and Gear. Uh-oh. I got some tape on here. The Pen and Gear steno pad or steno book. All right. The Pen and Gear, this is a 6x9. All right. So this is going to be next. I'm going to show you how to do this one. This one you would be able to do in Cricut Design Space, but of course you're going to need the template just like you would need the template for this one. And I will link the supplier that I highly recommend you use, guys. I will link them. That supplier is currently working on, because she created the template for me for this one, but she's not selling it yet on Etsy, but she will soon be selling it. She says she will add it to her Etsy store. And I'll let you know whenever that's done. But right now, I wasn't able to find this one on Etsy, right? And I think this one has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It has 23 holes across the top. So 23 holes and it's 6x9. 6x9. This is the next one I'm going to do. And I think I'm just going to make an image the same as that so that I'll have matching notepads. All right. That's how we roll. Yeah, you know what it is. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So, if you have any questions, chime in the comments. And if anything wasn't clear, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you out, guys. But this is how you can still accomplish getting your notepads done, and you don't have to send anything to print from Cricut Design Space. All right. And you can use Microsoft Word too. You don't have to just use PowerPoint. I love PowerPoint. All right. You could even go to Canva, and I'm pretty sure, do it from Canva. I'm pretty sure. I haven't tried it, but I assume you could. All right, guys, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. If you're currently on my Facebook group, Candoris's Cricut and Creative Crafters, I want to thank you guys so much for following me via Facebook. If you would like to join my Facebook group, it will be linked in the bottom of the description of this video tutorial. And it's Candoris's Cricut and Creative Crafters. All you have to do is agree to the Facebook group rules and you're in. All right. Also, if you're currently subscribed to my YouTube channel, I want to thank you guys so much for the love and support you show via YouTube. If you are seeing me for the first time, guys, and you like my method of teaching, then please, 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 I beg of thee, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. All right. And that's it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it, guys. I'm not going to change a thing. Not changing nothing. I love it. I love it. All right. All right, guys. If you love it too, chime in the comments and let me know what you think about it. Okay. All right, guys. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. And you guys, each one reach one so that each one can teach one. And you guys have a great day.